Obviously, this year we've seen a lot of issuance. We're on track again for another 200 billion euros in the benchmark bonds alone. How long can we carry on like this before we start to run out of investors?
Well, as we talk about a perfect market, at least we'll try to believe in a perfect market. It's basically a matter of price. And I think that is what you could see in this morning's discussion. In a lineup of not so similar German banks, I'd say, slight feeling of disagreement how strong on the one hand side the Pfandbrief is, and I think it is, but at the same time it's operating in a broader asset class, which is covered bonds, as you rightly said, and there is pressure on the supply side. So investors find it efficient, more efficient maybe, to add Italian, French covered bonds at some point in time, rather than just keep buying Germans. And I think all in all, it's a matter of price. The asset class, I think, makes a lot of sense going forward with the overall challenges that we have ahead of us, macroeconomic challenges, energy transformation, affordability of housing, just to name a few. So we remain optimistic, but it's going to be a bit of a gradual process, and there's going to be, on the one hand side, very happy issuers and investors, but there is also going to be a bit of frictions and disappointments at time that we will have to deal with.
And given all those problems, we always say we're a rates market, not a credit market. Are we going to start to see more differentiation between Southern Europe and Northern Europe, between various jurisdictions based on whether they're fixed or floating rate jurisdictions?
I think that process is already ongoing, I'd say, and there's probably a bit more to come. If we pick, for example, the commercial real estate, which obviously was a topic that we touched upon today, I think it's fair to say it is the eye of the storm at the moment. Not for covered bonds, not for Pfandbriefe, but that segment in itself at the moment is asking a lot of questions to investors, challenging investors to basically figure out where the risk exactly is. And this process of figuring out where it is, making sure that there is no spillover effects, understanding what the, let's say, market will look like after that period of consolidation is something that will be ongoing. And I think it will happen again through price mainly, to some extent through duration. But all in all, covered bonds is a segment which should safely allow the differentiation to allow it to happen in an orderly manner. And that would definitely be a major difference to what we have seen, for example, with the US regional banks, for example, which are obviously much more impacted.
Well, part of that story was duration mismatches, and obviously so far this year issuance has all been 3-year, 5-year dominating. How much longer can we go on with just the low duration, and how much of a problem is that for cover pools?
We had that discussion as well. I would argue the long end works, the ultra long end works. As LBBW, looking outside covered bonds, we had the pleasure to work on a transaction for the European Commission, almost 30-year trade. Record oversubscription. So there is money, but it's not overly economical at the moment. It's a point of the curve that is heavily affected by the rate uncertainty that there is. You spoke about it in one way. We don't know what the ECB is going to do tomorrow, and not knowing what's going to happen is never a good idea to expose yourself in the long end of the curve, where a lot of investors anyway are overexposed. So from that point of view, I'd argue it's a matter of price once again, but it's not economical for a lot of issuers, and that's why we have not seen any issuer really pushing into the segment of 10, 12, 15 and 20 years. Take that as a sign of strength. They are not desperate to do it, but it's going to happen at some point in time because, as you rightly said, structurally speaking, issuers from the Netherlands, from France, to some extent Germany, maybe Southern Europe, will find it interesting to be doing long-dated issuance and to also respond to underlying needs of investors.